inviting me up here to do something a little different. And thank you for that beautiful music. I love kirtan. I listen to it all the time. It's usually in Sanskrit, and I don't understand the words, but I understand them underneath somehow. They strike me in a very familiar and soothing way. So I'm very happy to have kirtan here today. So as I was getting ready to put this together, I was just asking myself, so what's here? What's here right now to look at and to talk about? What's happening in our world? And the word that came up right away was change. Change. Deep, broad, dramatic change in our world. I've been on this planet almost 68 years now, and I know that I have not felt change like this before, this big and this deep. Our world order is changing. The relationship among nations is shifting and moving. Our world here in our country is shifting and moving. And it's so deep and so broad, and it's unknown. That's the next word that came up. It's unknown where we're going. It's so deep and so broad that it's outside of our level of experience. So there's really no way to predict where all of this is going. And it can feel like upheaval. It can feel sometimes it feels to me like it's almost earthquake energy, and it's rumbling, and we're trying to find my balance with all of it. And if, like me, you've been in this kind of metaphysical world for a while, this spiritual thought system, we've been hearing about this. We've been hearing about this time period. I remember back in the day, I was living in a spiritual community and coming up on 2012, and that was a real active spot. And I've been hearing about 2024 for a long time now from thought leaders, that this is going to be a very active change time. If you look at astrology, I follow astrology quite a bit. You might know that there are major planets, the way out there planets that are shifting into different signs, several of them at the same time. So shifting into different energies. And those big out there planets, they're out there so far that they have an impact on the whole collective. And I've read recently that there are configurations that are with us out there that we've never seen before. And that's unusual for astrology. Astrology is all about what's happening out there, how the planets are aligning, all the energies that are there, and the impact that that's having on us here on Earth. And it's been happening and tracked and documented for thousands of years. So there are patterns that develop. When these two planets come together, this is what showed up on Earth. When they come back around again and meet, kind of the same thing shows up on Earth. So it's unusual to have planets aligning in a way that we've never seen before. And what that tells me is there's no pattern here. We're outside of any pattern, and we really don't know where this is going. And that can be, how does it feel? How does that feel? A little, disconcerting, little, what's going on here? What do we do with this? What do we do with this? Last week, Reverend Ruth talked about her experience around Easter. And she had the experience of growing up in a Protestant home and the teachings around Easter and the resurrection. And then she had part of her family that's Jewish. So she got to experience that time period from the Jewish perspective. And then she had a friend who was Catholic. So she went to a Catholic service around that time. And she noticed with all of that that it was pretty much the same story, just different rituals, different verbiage, but it was basically the same story of resurrection. And what immediately came to my mind was Joseph Campbell's work around the hero's journey. Anybody familiar with Joseph Campbell's work? The hero with 1,000 faces. And with all of the study that he did, and a wide range of study around all the mythology over thousands of years, all the different faiths, he discovered a monomyth. He discovered that pretty much it's the same story with all of the different faiths, all of the different beliefs. It's the hero's journey. That all of us here on earth as individuals, we land here on earth and we all have the same thing happening, the same opportunity to put ourselves on the hero's journey back to enlightenment, back to the truth of who we are. Let's face it, we land on this planet. We come from the formless. We come into the form of this body. And it's dense. This is dense energy here. And we come into this vibrational realm that is dense. And it's largely fear-based. We come into this world and we forget where we came from. We forget that we're divine beings. We land in this vibrational realm that doesn't allow us to remember easily. It makes me think of Abraham, Esther Hicks, if you know about Abraham. Yeah, I love Abraham. Their theory is that our soul chooses to come here on earth, and the soul is excited about it. The soul is excited to be in form. The soul is excited to be in human form with all of our senses. Oh boy, I get to smell flowers. I get to taste great food. I get to listen to great music. So the soul is excited to come and play in this playground. It's viewed as a playground. Does it feel like a playground sometimes? Sometimes not, right? But I love that perspective. I love that perspective of this is a playground, and I'm here to be in this body, to experience everything that's here, to be on this journey with other human beings. The trick is, we forget. We land in this experience and we forget all of that. And we land in this collective energy that's largely fear-based. If you've forgotten your connection with Source, you're going to be afraid because you don't know the truth. You're afraid of not having enough. You're afraid of other people that might not be like you. This is a fear-based culture. So we land in this, and not only into the collective, we land into our individual experience. The parents we end up with, the family dynamic we land in. I'm thinking of my family dynamic that I landed in. Some of the experiences that people land in are, oh my gosh, how do people do it? I'm amazed sometimes at the circumstances that people land in and how they navigate their world. I think of my world. I landed in a middle-class, white, suburban home in Ohio with 2 college-educated teachers. They sent me to college. Talk about white privilege. Talk about privilege. I was a girl, there was that, so there's all the stuff that goes with that. And there's all that stuff that goes for boys too, So we all have this stuff that we're dealing with. So we land in this environment, we land not remembering largely. Some are lucky enough to land in an environment that maybe cultivates that understanding of who we truly are. But most of us don't. And that's where Joseph Campbell's theory of the hero's journey comes in. I think there's a tension within all of us, a tension between that authentic being that so wants to express, that divine being that knows that it's all goodness, it's all love, that knows that we're all safe and protected, that authentic being that wants to create. And there's a tension between that and this identity that we build over time, pretty much as a coping strategy for being in this fear-based realm and whatever individual circumstance we fall into. So we have this tension within us, this authentic being, this divine piece of God that wants to express, and this fear-based identity that's afraid to. And that's where Joseph Campbell's theory comes in, the call. A call to adventure is what he calls it. A call to adventure of the hero's journey. And I think we're receiving that call all the time. Our authentic being wants to come out, wants to express. But this environment is so harsh and so dense that it can be hard to hear that. And we start to believe this identity that we create. So we might get the nudges along the way. The red flags might come up where we're thinking, gosh, it feels like I should go this way, but now I better stay here. I better stay here where it feels safe. And over time, as we build this identity and it gets more and more, I'll say, encrusted in this vibrational environment, that tension builds. And for some of us, it becomes so loud that we have to answer the call. It could be that cosmic 2x4 that people have talked about that kind of just whacks you off your feet, and there's really no choice. You have to find another way. I think for most of us, though, for me, it was a gradual experience. It hit me at midlife, as I was approaching 40, and it was mostly around work. The questions started to come in. Is this it? Is this really what I'm supposed to be doing? I was in corporate America, in administrative management and human resources, in copier sales and cell phone sales. If anybody knows how non-techie and machinery I am, you know that that is not my thing. So the questions were coming in, what am I doing? There's got to be something more meaningful than this. And I think when you get the call like that and you're ready for it, we talked last week about portals. I think at that point, a portal opens up. And I can imagine on the other side of that, the angels and our guides, all the people that love us, that went before us, that are on the other side, rooting us on. I can imagine a huge party going on when I answered that call. She's coming home. She's coming home. And let's send her everything that she needs to help her get here. And then life shifts. This is where we start to live into the divine. The portal opens, the universe starts to send us the people, the circumstances that we need for this journey. And it might not look like it. It might not look at all like what we need or want. It could be that your spouse leaves you. It could be that you get fired from your job. It could be any number of things that feel really, really uncomfortable. But how else to crack through this identity that we've built to protect ourselves when we really don't need that protection? How else to bust through it? So Joseph Campbell talks about that process, that journey to enlightenment. It's the hero's journey. And it shows up in our external world, but it is not an external journey. It is an internal journey. It's a journey of going within to work through all the stuff, that we've put together to try to protect ourselves. All of the old beliefs, all of the old family patterns, all the stuff that has kept us small, all the fear. Life starts to bring all that we need to see it all, to see our reflection. And it's not an easy process. The first stage of that process is separation. As we start to focus on the inner, we start to separate ourselves from our outer world, where our focus is different. And that can be a really lonely period, where you feel like, gosh, I'm in the middle of I don't know what, and it feels lonely. You've cut yourself off from what you've created. The next stage is initiation. You go into the belly of the whale, is what he calls it. You go into I'll call it the belly of the beast, deep within, to really look deeply at the patterns that you've created. If my spouse left me, what was that all about? How did I contribute to that? What did I put together in my lifetime that brought that about? And it starts to unwind. You start to meet yourself over and over again, and you start to unwind all of those stories. It's a deconstruction process. We've heard that word a couple times from speakers. It's deconstructing that false identity so that we can live into the truth of who we are. Initiation, you get onto the road of trials. Doesn't that sound lovely? You're meeting your monsters. You're slaying your dragons. You're busting through all of that old stuff. And the goal, of course, is to reach a place of enlightenment. And that's such a loaded word, enlightenment. It's not a place out there where all of a sudden everything is bright light and wonderful and nothing bad is happening. That is what it is, actually. But for me anyway, I'll speak from my own experience. It was a gradual process of simply living into the truth of who I am and not being afraid to express that. First of all, to feel the truth of who we are. Just to bust through all of that old crap that we've put together to hide. So to me, enlightenment is reaching a point where you have an inner understanding that's strong enough to be able to express authentically. It might not be, and there's different levels, I think. Sure, we want to be totally enlightened. Jesus, Buddha, the ones that we view as being enlightened. It's a gradual process, and for me, it was getting to a place of comfort with myself. All the shames, all the stuff, all the judgment, working through all of that, and it was a good 10 years of working through all that to come to a place of self-acceptance, and then even going beyond that to self-love. And then the final phase of the journey is the return. You reach that place of feeling authentic within yourself, and you come back into your world. But you're coming back reborn. You're coming back a new person. And because you're a new person, you've worked through all of that, you're creating a new world. You're operating from a different understanding a different place. You're letting go of fear. And you're stepping into your expression. Some people look at that return and think, it's easy to do this. You come back from this experience, it's just like, oh, I got to tell everybody about this. I've got to tell them what they need to know, to reach enlightenment. And boy, that can be really annoying for people that are wanting to really tell you how to be enlightened. It doesn't work that way. It's an individual experience. It's different for everybody. And some people do come back, and they are meant to teach. They are meant to help people along the way. But I think the main thing coming from back from that place of enlightenment is to just be. To just be your authentic self. Whatever that means, wherever that takes you. Life takes you where you need to go. So let's go back to the start. This time that we're in right now. Dramatic change, deep, broad change. We don't know where we're going. I couldn't help but think, could it be that the body of humanity has answered the call? Could it be that there is enough light on the planet, that there are enough enlightened people, at least to the degree where they know the truth? Could it be that the body of humanity has answered the call to adventure? Could it be that we're in the belly of the whale? All the stuff is coming up for us to see. And we certainly have the technology to help us with that. All of the ugliness, the war, the violence, everything of that darker aspect of humanity is right there in front of us. And we have the opportunity to see it, work it through, and heal. Heal our planet. Could it be? It sure follows the pattern, doesn't it? Deep upheaval, the unknown, scary. So what can I do with that? What can I do with that as an individual? Just keeping on with my individual journey of working all the stuff that comes up in me as I'm viewing all of that, as I deal with my personal experience. Keep working the patterns and stepping out into authentic expression. Going more this way into the divine authentic expression and leaving this way the old scared self behind. Creating a new earth. That's what I can do individually. And then, this is exciting, we have the opportunity to come together in a community like this. How awesome is this? The one thing, I lived in a community for a while, and one thing I'll say about this community that I feel so strongly, there is such a clear spiritual intention here. An intention toward kindness and love and support. It's very strong, and I would imagine all of you feel that too, right? Talk about Abraham's playground. We have this playground to operate in with like-minded people, loving people, supportive people. And we can do our work together, we can play together, we can create for ourselves, for our community, and send a vibration out into the world that is so helpful with where we are right now. That's the opportunity that's here for us individually, for us as a community, and contributing to our world. That's what we're here to do. We haven't done this work for nothing. We've done this work to contribute to our world. And I'm so happy to do that with you.